are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for chatting.
You're welcome. Thank you as well for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it. Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about turning the short that you worked on a few years ago into this feature now. What really interested you in expanding the short into the feature-length film, and how did you really get this project started? Go ahead.
Yeah. Um, you know, I made this short film and it was so personal. It felt like a diary entry and I was blown away by the response. I mean, it was incredible that we world premiered the short at Sundance in 2023, and then the festival run just rolled out. It was like over 50 film festivals all over the world, and we also screened at the White House in to celebrate the Olmsted Act, and it was just, I couldn't believe the reach that we had for this little film that didn't really solve anything. It was just about this tiny transitional moment that felt so important to me. But it just like made me realize the power of this subject matter and also the power of Anna, of my sister in the film, and just how captivated people were with her and how universal she was, as a lead.
And as you started working on creating the story and the script for the feature, after working on the short and the story for that as well, what was your overall experience in really figuring out what the story would be for the feature and expanding all the details? What was that just overall experience like writing the script for the feature?
Yeah, writing the script for the feature was hard because it wasn't completed before I did the proof of concept. And, there was so much to explore. I had several different versions that I had to play out, and they didn't work for many reasons. One version had the sister being the main caregiver and the character with Anna, and I felt like that story has been told. I also felt like it made the sister sort of the answer to the caregiving dilemma in this situation. So, I just sort of started playing it out and trying to find a way to make the story just more specific and nuanced, and to find what, dynamic that felt like it had been untold, which I think it's interesting and rare to see a father taking care of his adopted daughter with a disability, and for him to feel that much love and responsibility without questioning it, to normalize it.
And then going from writing the script into directing the feature as well, after you directed the short, what was that experience like for you as well inside and directing this with this being like your first feature that you directed after directing some of the shorts as well?
Yeah, I think the hardest part was just getting all the financing together and building the team. It's like a very hard time in this world to be making film, and that process felt long to me, but I feel lucky because everybody who's involved in this film believed in it so much. There was never a question if Anna should be the lead. They believe in the visions so much, and they believe in like my leadership so much, and so I was really lucky because then I feel like when I was making the film I could really trust my gut. So yeah, I mean, making the film was hard and impossible, and I learned a lot, but the hardest part of making a film is just getting the funding together to reach your vision. Yeah.
And also speaking about securing the funding and the budget, what was your experience like also when working with your co-producers on the film and reuniting after working together on the short to produce the feature as well?
Yeah. I was really lucky because the short film won a grant with Janet Yang. It was a Julia Gao short film competition with Cape, and that sort of brought me in to create new relationships in the industry. And Janet is still on the project, so she's really championed the project for a long time. And then I found Caring Across Generations, whose mission is just so exactly aligned with this script. And they've been, helping find financing and also advising for this film and the impact campaign afterwards. But the real turning point of it was when we went to Tribeca and we pitched at AT&T's Untold Stories, and it blew us away. We won $1 million of a production award, and we pieced together the rest of the funding and went into production immediately afterwards. So, that program is so incredible, led by Bryce and Michelle, and they are so involved, but they're so, all of these people were so filmmaker supportive, of the vision, and they never, jumped in to control any part of the process, which was very fortunate to me because I don't know how I would make a film like this without a team like that.
And besides Anna, I also wanted to ask about casting the supporting actors in the film as well. What was that approach like in really finding who you wanted to work with in the supporting actors as well?
Yeah, I think about this entire film process as led by Anna because we had to make a very specific environment for her. And so in the casting, I really thought about the human that I was casting, their comfort and maturity to take Anna seriously and challenge her, and their lack of ego so that they could really give to Anna and be playful. Anna responds to good people. So to me, I just wanted to sense out who these actors were, who these people were, their sense of the story, and then look at, their background and I really was leaning towards people who had a background in theater, who could do repetitions, who had a deep love for process, and, people who are ready to be game for, a very malleable process where we pivoted, daily. There's only a certain type of person, an actor, who can take on an experience like that. So, yeah.
And once the rest of the cast signed on, what was your experience like in working with them and maybe rehearsing or really building the characters with them overall as well?
With the actors, you said? Sorry?
Yes, just like getting to rehearse with the actors.
Yeah. A big part of it was, I think, them meeting Anna and understanding the way that she takes in information, the way that she reacts to situations. Because Anna has little short-term memory, she's not going to memorize a scene, and I never wanted her to just be, a puppet or regurgitate, information. I wanted her to feel natural and have agency and be inside of her body and her words. So I think once they understood her, then it was about going into the scene, understanding the scene, using it as, the structure, and then being playful within it, but really understanding what you need to give to Anna to get a response, and how you're going to respond to, what's in the room. So, the rehearsal is really just about an understanding of the situation. And for Anna, she had an acting coach who was incredible, who really treated her like a professional. They read the script, they practiced, because she has this incredible long-term memory. So there were these beautiful moments where sometimes in a scene we would prompt lines for Anna. She would be repeating them. We'd slowly pull back and we'd see what would happen. How she would understand the scene. And there was one time where her long-term memory sort of snapped in, and she remembered the entire scene and all of the beats, and it just like flowed together in this really incredible way. So I don't know. I think I went off track on that answer, but.
No, it was definitely interesting. I was curious about hearing about like Anna's experiences working with her co-stars and the rest of the actors overall as well, and really collaborating with them. And do you feel that being like on also like real locations helped her in her acting and really connecting with her co-stars in the story as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Anna, she has the shortcuts of the story, right? We shot in her home. She's playing a version of herself, so however she reacts to a scene is correct. She does understand, like, pretend, so she knows that these are her pretend dad, her pretend sister. She has that kind of understanding and maturity, whether she can articulate that clearly or not. I know she has that deeper understanding. So yeah, I mean, I think she was, yeah, I'm not sure.
And also, once you finished filming the movie, what was your process to editing the feature and really figuring out how to expand the story from the short?
Yeah, this film was like a lesson in instinct and pivoting. The process. I'd say the filmmaking, or the production period, was about pivoting to whatever's in the room, and following the instinct. Sometimes we wouldn't even know if we got a scene. I would just have to collect and know that there were enough moments in there that were going to work. And I always knew, based on my experience with the short film, that we would go into the edit, we would choose all the parts that felt honest and real and resonated, and then we would figure out what the scene was, what the film was. And so that was really the process of it. I believe in just taking all your favorite parts, and somehow you'll see a theme in that. So it's really, I think, the magic of filmmaking, and this kind of process.
And now with the feature about to screen at Sundance, what does that mean to you to be able to return to the festival with the feature now a few years after the short and share the story once again with audiences at the festival?
I haven't really taken it in. I feel like, it's very, very overwhelming. It's very, people use the term surreal all the time, but I feel like it feels very, very real and very palpable, It's very intense. But my North Star always is just that, like, Anna's coming to Sundance, and I can't wait for, the world to meet her, and for her to be a star, and, that's all I care about. The thing that I want people to take out of this film is to love her, to understand that she is equal, and she's, incredible and magnetic. And I think if you can feel that kind of love and agency and see the power of her on screen, that's what's going to change, make people active, to change the way they make films, to change the way who leads the film, and to be active in the community to change the policies and make healthcare more available and have more resources.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Great, thank you so much.